Well, gang, you know you're in for a treat when you hear that tune because it's time for another episode of the Rec Poker Podcast. I hope you're bearing with me and having a great time because people who know will know that this is my first week without John Somsky or Chris Jones. So I am trying to host and produce the podcast at the same time for the first time. And like every week, I have no idea what I'm doing. So if you're here in the YouTube chat, please let me know if you can hear me and if the music is coming through. And otherwise, we're just going to have a great time. I always have a great time because I've got the best job in the world. My name's Jim Reid. I'm Bluff Sterini in the home game, or Rec Poker Jim if you want to find me on Twitter. And if you want to find out more about me and the rest of the Wrecking Crew, you can go to rec.poker/crew, where you can learn about folks like Kim Kilroy. Kim, why don't you introduce yourself to Rec Poker Nation?
I'm Kim. I'm Fergie 56 in the home game, and I'm PetBet or PetBet 33 everywhere else.
Nice. And as you know, our Wrecking Crew members are a really crucial part of what we do here at Rec Poker. They're that core team of folks that contribute their time every month to our learning sessions, our study groups. And we also have to thank our sponsors, of course, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, and Mark Brachon over at Website Amp. And we've got another Wrecking Crew member in the room tonight, the one and only Rab Man. Rob, why don't you tell folks where they can get a hold of you? He's still getting the stuff together there, but he's Bradman 50 pretty much everywhere. And the only other person I want to thank, I want to shout out one of our premium members like I do every week. This one's going out to Michael Babker. Michael's been a member for a long time. And I just want you to know, Michael, your support is so appreciated. Your $15 a month makes a big difference for all of us here. And it helps us to do what we're doing here at Rec Poker. Which is just sort of spreading our love of poker with recreational, serious amateurs around the world. So that's enough about recreational, serious amateurs. We get to talk to my new best buddy. We made it official this summer. It's the one and only Norman Chad. Norman Chad, thank you for joining us on the Rec Poker Podcast.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure.
If you don't know who Norman Chad is, then I don't think we can help you. Just turn this off, go do something else with your life. You've obviously been making some terrible mistakes because Norman Chad is a phenomenal character. He's a big part of the poker scene. And well, here, Norman, I don't want to tell people about it. This is something I ask all our guests. You've been in the scene for a long time. You've been a player, a commentator, a smart ass. When people ask you for your role in the poker world, like how do you describe your own place in this world of poker?
Well, I'm a late comer to the poker world. I was over 40 before I really got involved with it. I'd never even been to a tournament, to the World Series before I started doing for ESPN in 2003. So that's 19 years ago. And so I don't even play No Limit Hold'em. I just commentate on the World Series of Poker main event. Unfortunately, it's No Limit Hold'em, which I don't play. But I've made up for that tragic flaw by simply commenting on the players' clothes and their haircuts.
Smart. Add a little color. I like that. And I've heard with many of your interviews over the years, and you're a great example of someone who just kind of made their way into the industry. I remember one quote you were saying that they didn't. Was it Lon who had said, "Oh yeah, he's the guy that plays the poker tournaments," and you're like, "Oh yeah, I totally play the poker tournaments. I can talk about that." And you've leveraged that into this phenomenal spot. You obviously do you understand No Limit Hold'em, but your heart is in mixed games. Well,
the first few years I had people, sometimes they wanted me to analyze stuff, which I didn't want to. And then when I'd analyze stuff, I had players coming up to me the next year saying, "You have no idea what you're talking about." I go, fair point.
Right.
So, I don't know how well I understand No Limit Hold'em. I've been exposed to a lot of it, obviously, over the last 20 years. But I play everything else. And I'm actually average to above average in everything else. And absolutely the worst you could be in No Limit Hold'em.
Nice. Well, this is a year where we're trying to take mixed games more seriously here at Rec Poker, make it more of an emphasis. I think a lot of people agree that that's kind of the future of poker, even if mainstream tournament poker is kind of tied to No Limit Hold'em just because of the mechanics of the game. I think mixed games are going to be something that people see more and more of. And every time you walk into a casino and you see people playing mixed games at the table, it looks like they're having a lot more fun than the people at the no limit hold'em tables. Are mixed games more fun? Do you think so?
That's been actually one of my primary selling points to my no limit hold'em friends. That we do have more fun. The no limit crowd, which tends to be younger, is the guys that come in with the hoodies and the shades and the headphones. We all talk to each other. We drink at the table. We even eat outside of the table. But yeah, it's much more fun. I just always claim, why would you want to tie yourself just to one discipline? In a particular day, you might feel like playing something else. Plus, I like switching games as often as possible. So I like playing 5 or 10 different games. I just don't want to look at 2 cards all night long and have to fold 80% of them. And that's what I'm telling rec players in particular, because you want to play hands. So you should prefer playing PLO to no limit. You're gonna see more flops. You should prefer playing mixed games. You're gonna see more hands. We're there to play hands. We're not there to fold 80% of the time. So yeah, mixed game players are having more fun, and we do get most of the ladies. It's amazing. It's not to play the game, but when we come out and people are just crowding around, oh, you're a mixed game player. You're a mixed game player. Hi, Lola. Hi, Tina. They really get excited with us when we walk out of the casino because we're mixed game beasts.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. I think I know you're constantly just carrying a little baseball bat with you to keep them away at all times under the best and worst of circumstances. But having some mixed game fun, people like to see people laughing and having a good time. That doesn't surprise me at all. I'll tell our folks in the YouTube chat, and of course, Rob and Kim, if you have any questions, feel free to just unmute. If you're in the YouTube chat, please add your questions into the chat box there, and I'll make sure we ask them of the one and only Norman Chad. One question I had was, so do you have a favorite mixed game?
The mixed game I play most often is in Los Angeles. The 2 games that are played are Omaha 8 or better and Stud 8 or better. So those are the 2 games I've been playing the longest. But over the years, particularly during the pandemic, when I joined an online mixed game with 22 games, I've become a fan of just about everything. So there were games when I started the 22 games, at least 10 of them I had not played. Like the whole Badoogie series, Badoogie, Badusi, Badesi, Buddy, and then Dramaha, Dramadoogie, Deuce of 7, Dramaha, Dramaza 0, Dramaha 49. I have dreams about them now. You're supposed to have wet dreams, but I have dreams about really good Dramaha boards. So I learned all these mixed games, and they are so much more fun. And I've never read a word strategy wise on any of them, and you just get better by playing good players. And of course, if you studied it, you become better. But I just play recreationally, and I love playing all these games.
Fantastic. And is there something, you've been involved in poker for a long time. You've seen a lot of the angles. You've been on both sides of the camera. When it comes to playing itself, other than kind of the camaraderie at the table, what about poker do you still really love or excites you about the game itself and playing?
Well, it's sort of a cliche, but for me, it's a combination of, the challenge of playing against other people and trying to win. And then you mentioned the camaraderie. Like I would not have played online poker during the quarantine unless it was a Zoomed game. So see everybody and talk to everybody. It became sort of a de facto home game. I just don't want to sit there and click buttons. The social aspect of it is, really the important thing to me. I grew up playing social poker, home poker, hosting games, and it was always a delight. And I'm not a real people person, but for some reason at the poker table, I become a people person where I'm just different. So, to play live poker with me, I would like to play live poker with me. I think it's entertaining. So yeah, I like to have a good time with the rest of the table, and I like to compete. So those are the 2 things. And I prefer cash poker, where you can come and go and as you please. And it's over the long time, it's a greater gauge of somebody's skill than tournament poker. A lot less luck involved in the long haul and cash poker.
Yeah, I think so too. You talk about growing up playing as sort of like a social game or playing back in the day a little bit. What was your introduction to poker? Was it family games or buddies around the coffee table, or how did you get introduced to it in the first place?
Yeah, I didn't get introduced to it till college, actually. at the University of Maryland. Just a group of us started playing. It became a once or twice a week game in which we played. And it was like a 50, it was, again, you never played no limit hold'em or limit hold'em back then. This is the late 70s, early 80s. And so we just played a lot of different split pot games and wild card games, what you do at home. So we played 50-cent limit, then we went to a $1 limit, and then we finally stretched it to $2 limit, I think our junior or senior year. But we didn't want to, we weren't playing for a lot. You're playing for pizza money pretty much. But that was my introduction to the game, is playing all these split pot and wild card games with college buddies.
Nice. Are you still in touch with any of those buddies?
Some of them. One of those buddies was ended up being my first wife. So no, we're no longer in touch. She was a very.
We're at one, folks. One ex-wife comment so far. Here we go. We're at one.
Very good poker player, and then she went to law school. She left me while she was in law school. She became a district attorney, and I might have been the first person she prosecuted, at least marriage standpoint. So she left, and we were done. But she's a wonderful person. But she was a real good poker player. So I'm glad she was out of our game.
Yeah, good point. And that's just good long-term thinking there, Norman. That sounds like you're putting that together properly. And where do you play these days? Is there a casino near where you live? Do you play in home games with your friends these days, or how do you get to scratch that itch in real time?
I'm lucky enough, I could avoid online poker until the pandemic because I have a casino. Los Angeles has a lot of card rooms, and I live near Hollywood Park Casino, which is literally 10 or 15 minutes from my house, which in Los Angeles is like next door. So they've always had the mixed game. I've played at the Bicycle Casino here. Now the Hustler Casino has a bunch of mixed games, but I'm talking about 5, 10, 15 different games. But generally when I'm in town, I'll play at Hollywood Park and play the Omaha 8 Stud 8 mix.
Nice. So a lot of our listeners and watchers probably know you best from your coverage, your work in the booth. You work with Lon a lot. Have you worked with other partners? Is there, how important is kind of that chemistry? And talk a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, the chemistry is important. I mean, I never met Lon before we started doing poker together in the Moneymaker year. And if you're with a partner, whether it's like doing morning radio or newscasters that co-host, or in our situation, you spend a lot of time with each other. And it helps if you get along with each other, and sometimes you don't, and we do. And then it helps if you have chemistry. So we have like a yin yang oil vinegar thing. I'm smart and funny. Lon's an idiot. Stupid poker wise, life wise, otherwise. So we sort of meld together, and we've always gone along. And then when Lon likes to say he's been with me longer than any of my marital partners. That would be a second reference. And that's true. And so lately we've had an open marriage where we've had other partners. And when I've gone out and dealt with other partners, I'll go, wow, I can't believe I could have somebody really smart next to me. I didn't know you could do that. So I've been working with other people who, have a triple digit IQ, who don't make mistakes, every 5 minutes. And it's been a revelation, but then you still always go back to you dance with the one who brought you. And I always go back home to Lon. And once he sobers up, he's pretty good.
So Norm, you've got this acerbic layer. Your command of humor is second to none. You play this kind of character who's a bit of a dick, frankly. But I know that you're I said it, but. Yeah, honestly, I think you're one of the sweetest people that I've encountered. Everyone who talks about you, not to your face, but behind your back, they say the nicest things about you. And we kind of, there's this tension, I think, between this facade that you have and the real Norm. Is that difficult for you at all? Like, is it a defense mechanism? Is it just you just realize how funny you can be in that way? Talk a little bit about that.
You're getting me naturally. So, part of me is always going to be self-deprecating and self-effacing my whole life. But then as far as dealing with other people, I like to, it's almost like insult comedy, yes. Don Rickles back in the day, where I like to make fun of people I like. I don't want to make fun of people who I don't know or don't like. Because they might take it the wrong way. Like, I don't know if I like you all yet, because I haven't heard, Kim and Rob speak yet, but I just say if I could, I would touch Kim's flag behind her because I'd like to be a Canadian citizen. I would tell you, Jim, if you can both host and produce this podcast on your own, you are qualified to run for any national elective office in the United States. And I would tell Rob that he's actually, without him speaking yet, he's almost like half Hulk Hogan, half Wilford Brimley to me. And I've dealt with that combination before, even though he could, he's got a little problem up here. I'm fine. This is all mine. I sent him some of this, but it's a different color. This is all mine. So that's what I would tell you all. But yeah, I just like to have fun at the poker table. And I know I've always gotten a good kick out of people coming up to me during the main event, mostly rec players, and they go, "I hope I get on a TV table so you can just smash me." People want to actually be made fun of in a friendly way, and I hope that's what I do.
Yeah, no, and you nail it, man. I also like to sort of tease people that I'm friends with, and there is that kind of calibration where you have to know them well enough to know that they're going to be cool with that, and then in that way, it's actually a kind of a sign of respect between people after a while when you can kind of have that kind of rapport. It doesn't suit everybody, but when you do, it's fantastic. I see you on Twitter in particular, and you're kind of giving people the gears and putting yourself down quite a bit. But I got the chance to meet you in person this summer, and you told me that you must be softening up a little bit because you actually included me in one of your sleeper picks to win the World Series of Poker main event, and I can only assume that's because some sap out there told you a good story. How do you choose that, and why'd you soften up so much this year?
First of all, I have softened up, and I choose a lot of people based on the tweets they send me that describing themselves. Choosing you was maybe the worst mistake since I think Napoleon tried to wage a two-front war.
I was going to say the Hindenburg, but yeah, no, that fits.
It was. I mean, you let me down.
I did.
Just so you folks know, I asked people especially once I picked them, because first they have to tell me something about themselves, and I choose it based on just a feel thing. And then after I pick someone like Jim, I asked him, give us a little more information. So Jim essentially gave me his memoirs. He's one of the people who gave me something like, if the main event lasted 35 days, I couldn't use all this material. But it's great material if he continues to play on. How long did you last? You lasted a couple levels, right? You were lasted 2 years.
Yeah, I'm a little on the plus side of that, but not by much. Yeah,
but yeah, so he was gone before I could mention his name. So that just always disappoints me because I got printouts from here. You can't believe it. I mean, he once slept with the Dalai Lama, which is remarkable information, but I can't get that in if he gets knocked out that early.
It's true. It's so funny. I was actually so excited at the prospect that I was just like, I just got to put down everything that he could ever find interesting. I remember I was lying in my bed at the Flamingo Hotel, thumbing it on Twitter DMs, trying to put this, like, what are some interesting things about me that Norman Chad might want to share with the world? And I think I did kind of ramble on there quite a bit. I'm just going to have to come back next year, and maybe we can get into your day 3 and day 4 and day 5 level stuff, because it was a nice touch for days 1 and 2. I'll say that.
Well, yeah. So even though you wouldn't be a sleeper pick back-to-back years, if you go further, I have the information on you, and I'd be rooting for you, even though you screwed up my sleeper. My sleeper. I keep percentages of my sleeper picks where they go, and my starburst recipients. And people like you just kill my sleeper pick thing, because it's always going to be somebody who's not a professional, who's a big name. It's somebody you have a feel for. Okay, who actually might be able to play the game with. I came and visited him at his table. One, he's got a mask on, so this is the first time I'm seeing him for real. Second of all, he's got a rank of hands thing in front of him. I go, this is he's sitting here trying to figure out if a straight piece of flush, a flush piece of straight, and it's just too late. It's just too late. So
you were already locked in. You were locked in at that
photo with him and moved on.
Yeah, that photo I think is currently my Twitter avatar, just in case anyone is unsure. And I literally, Norman, I was so excited about it, I actually called my mom. I called my mom and said, "Mom, you're not going to believe it, Norman Chad." And how it was very cool this year because you had it down to 12 and you referred to it as your dirty dozen. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm part of a dirty dozen. I have always wanted to be part of a dirty dozen in some way. And that really put the cherry on top of the entire summer. But it's funny because I want to tweet at Norm and be like this genuinely thankful, grateful guy. But it feels kind of wrong to not be just like making fun of him or giving him a hard time or something like that. And I'll be honest with you, I really struggled with that. If you look back at my tweets, I actually sound like just a gentle sap. because that's
you don't need to do that, as you should know by now. I prefer the other way.
Yes.
Sometimes I pretend like someone's insulting me and I get mad, but it's just a pretend thing. I love if someone else can give as good as they get, or whatever the expression is.
Yeah.
That's
No, I
always
could tell.
yak with me, with my various, whoever you want to call them. I don't want to refer to the wife's situation again, but if they can just put me down, especially publicly, which they love to do over the years, that's just, oh yeah, this is why I'm with her.
I did sense that my genuine flattery was making you uncomfortable. But I got to do more like Bob. I think it's Bob Mathers, Lexi Gavin's soon-to-be husband, who, when you released your list of the sleeper picks that year, his retweet was something like along the lines of, "Is this guy hitting on me?" That's a better way to get to Norm's.
That is a better way to go. And actually, Bob was onto something. He's a very attractive man, and as I told him, if I was 10 years younger and not currently in a relationship, he might be my guy. But
there you go.
He's a terrific guy and a terrific poker player, actually. Also.
Yeah. And I think, and if you're having any second thoughts about that, Norm, I'd put the moves on quick. From what I understand, there's a ceremony happening in a couple of weeks that
You're really on top of it. There is a ceremony happening very, very soon. And I might be, I don't know if you saw The Graduate, Dustin Hoffman film, but I might be Dustin Hoffman pounding on the window, stopping the wedding, because I want Bob, not Lexi. I know where the wedding is. It's in the New York area, and I might show up.
There you go. Nice. Well, that'll be a fun one. They're such a great couple, and they have a lot of fun too. So it doesn't surprise me. I'm if I were you, I'd be a little annoyed and insulted if you didn't have an actual engraved invitation to that. Like, do you feel like that's an oversight, or what do you think is responsible?
An oversight, but I'm quite dismayed. I actually offered to Bob, who I know a lot better than Lexi, that I would if not officiate the wedding, I could provide entertainment at no charge. I'd come and do, I'd give them like what we say in the stand-up comedy world, like a tight 5 or a tight 10, where I come in there, I give 5 of my best minutes or 10 of my best minutes comped for them, and I didn't hear back.
Wow, that's so strange.
Who barely know Bob have been invited to this wedding, and I'm 25. I'm going to be 2,500 miles away unless I take a proactive move on it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like no, never mind. We'll get to that one a little later on. So mixing with people, obviously, the social part of the game. You're natural in that role. You have a lot of fun with that. I don't think that's a surprise. What are the parts of it that kind of feel like a drag? I want an honest answer here, Norm. When you're out there getting ready, is it the prep? Is it post-production? Is it just another day in the booth with Lon? Oh my God. What is it that sort of feels a bit more like a chore than it used to?
Well, it's always been difficult because, again, I'm not kidding when I say I'm not a people person. So when friends of mine have come out to the main event and they see me wandering the main event floor talking to people, they go, who stole and snatched your body, and how are you walking around talking with people and engaging with people? Because when I don't go to parties, I don't go to large dinners, and I'm always the person in the corner that is just trying to avoid it. So it was a big adjustment for me to walk around the main event floor. And when we used to do that earlier, there was actually purpose to it, to meet people, maybe get stories, get something unusual that we could pursue. So that part has always been sort of a struggle for me because it just isn't my natural being. I'll be very talkative in a small group that I know, but to be amongst strangers, that was hard for me to do at first. So that's not a drag at this point, but it always has been a difficult thing for me to just pull myself out of a shell and walk around and engage people that I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually something we have in common. I really enjoy small groups or groups where I know people already and like the ice has been broken. But I also find it kind of, I don't know, draining or stressful or something to meet a bunch of people for the first time. And I think people would say that I'm pretty social as well, and sure they say the same thing about you, but there is kind of that duality to it. Kim says it's kind of like a daunting experience sometimes, so I appreciate that. Is that something that you've gotten better at over the years, or is it not even something you can think of in those terms?
Yeah, work-wise, it's something I got better at because I started doing it. As far as in real life, and I didn't get better at it until I started therapy to help with my depression. And I explained to the therapist that, like, if I go to a party, I'm looking for either literally looking for children or dogs. I will engage either one and just be able to bury myself in that world because I love kids and I love dogs. And he explained to me, he got me doing something different where he says, instead of let's flip the script. When you go in there, like, you don't want to talk to anybody really, but in this way, you want to take advantage of the fact that you can talk and attack it. Like, go, just dive into a group of 2 or 3 people, and hey, what's going on? And you start telling stories, you start talking, and it's kind of weird for me, but that has helped. But it's still difficult for me to do that because of the depression. And because of what's a social anxiety disorder, they just put fancy names on the fact that you don't want to be around somebody. You hate people, social anxiety. So please, here, let me write you another check to make it really, like, it's really confusing here that I don't want to talk to anybody. I hate everybody, but you're calling it social anxiety disorder. But anyway, so he helped a lot with that. It helped with the depression, and I am better able to deal with those situations now. But I'm still far from ideal.
Well, and thank you so much for just mentioning the notion of therapy and depression and, that mental, emotional side of the game. I think as we progress as a society, that is becoming less and less stigmatized. But I know it's still something that people kind of feel so about. What's been your experience as a public figure struggling with that and sort of the ability to just talk about it freely on a public podcast like this sort of feels like progress as well. What's that been like?
That is progress. And actually, I didn't even realize I didn't go to therapy till about 5 years ago. And I never even considered the fact that I could actually be clinically depressed or severely depressed. I just thought I had a downward view towards things, and I was in a bad mood, and I was lonely or sad or whatever, and this type of thing. And then when he pieced together all those things going back to literally childhood, and I understood what he was talking about, and it was a revelation to me. And then I've always realized, without thinking about it in terms of myself, that we don't deal with mental health issues as we should. It's gotten a lot better the last generation, but we generally, it's something that's swept under the carpet, or people don't think it's like you're physically ill. The old thing is, just whatever, take a pill, just look on the upside, something as stupid as that. So yeah, I had no problem then discussing it whenever it came up. In fact, I was doing a live stream a couple of years ago, and we ended up I was working with Jason Kuhn, who I had not even met, and we must have spent 45 minutes in a row on a live stream that was online poker, probably talking about depression. And I just couldn't I couldn't believe we were doing this during, the poker wasn't that great. I thought one guy really misplayed his pocket jacks from under the gun stuff too. But we were talking about depression left and right. And I do think it's helpful for anybody, because you think when you're depressed, you think there's nowhere to turn, and there's a lot of places to turn. And if you just talk to other people who are just alone, who have the same affliction that you do, it becomes a lifesaver. So yeah, I as a public figure, I like to talk about it a lot.
That's great. And I think, talking about things with like-minded people is what we're all about here at Rec Poker. It's not just poker, but there's lots of things that you can benefit from just by sharing it with your friends, sharing it with people you trust. And we just encourage all of that around here. I know just from joining a community like this, I feel like I've worked on my own problems, not even necessarily poker related, but I feel like I'm a better citizen, a better friend, a better person, just because I'm kind of opening myself up a little more, and I'm not worried about being vulnerable to other people as much. There's a lot of lone wolf poker players out there, and I think they're kind of doing themselves a disservice by not getting more involved with a group of some kind like that. It sounds like you would agree.
And poker is, again, there's a million reasons why, if you're pursuing poker as a profession, poker's a tough profession to pursue on a lot of different levels. And you just mentioned the lone wolf thing, just the nature of the game, and traveling a lot, and not being in a relationship, and the bad hours, and just being in a casino or a card room. It's a lot of things that can pile up that if, again, you are having some issues, they get worse unless you pay attention to them or have somebody helping you. So yeah, it's besides poker players talking hands with each other, it helps if, people who, again, have similar afflictions can discuss it. It's sort of a built-in support group if we allow it to be.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm going to take a little segue. If you're watching along in our YouTube chat, we're going to do our contest at the end of the show, like always. So speaking of somewhere to turn to and people in distress, if you type the words food bank into the chat box, then you will be entered into our contest for a free month at Rec Poker. Go ahead and type that in now. And I'll give folks one last chance to enter any other questions for Norm that I haven't already asked here. So Norm, getting away from poker a little bit, I see you've got, looks like 40 wine bottles behind you. How's my math?
As it turns out, I thought it was 40. We were talking just before we went on the air. It's actually 12 rows of 4. So it's 48 bottles. I don't think there might be a slot down here I cracked open last night. But yeah, it's 48 bottles on a very nice wine rack that was given to me by my second ex-wife.
There it is. Yeah, knew it. Yeah.
But I think that extended the marriage by at least a month.
Nice.
Either whoever was leaving didn't want to leave in the wake of such a nice gift. So we were together an extra month. And it's really a great gift. And again, it's not. I love drinking wine, but I'm not a wine connoisseur. It's not like there's lots of wines up here. I'm buying most of my wines in the $10 to $20 realm.
Well, there's a lot of good wine in the $10 to $20 range these days. The world's come a long way. I know Kim's got a question, but before she asks, so how do you choose the wine that you're going to buy? You say you're not a connoisseur, but you must know what you like. Are there certain varieties or certain regions, or how do you determine what's going to dance across your tongue that night?
Yeah, I got a pretty wide palate. So even though I'll like let's go to the red wines, I'd like something with more body, so like a Cabernet instead of a Merlot. I'll drink Merlot. I'll drink, Pinot Noir. I'll drink Cabernet. I'll drink Chianti. So just as long as I like the taste of it, I'll just keep getting it. With my current and final wife, she cannot, because of something that happened, something with red wine. With white wine affects her now. Allergy, but I know some people can't drink red wines because of the acidity or the red, like they can't eat tomatoes anymore. So she doesn't drink white wine. So we're drinking it. Obviously, I'm drinking 90% red wine just because of that. When I'm out somewhere without her, and I do like to go out without her whenever I can, just to drink some white wine. I'll drink some more white wines. But, again, I drink whatever anybody else orders. And I know some real heavy wine drinkers in terms of their quality of wine they get. And so I'm exposed to wines that I would never be exposed to before. And frankly, I have trouble. I can tell you the difference between 4 different peanut butter brands, between Jiffy and Superman and whatever the other ones are, Skippy and Jiffy Extra Crunchy is my favorite. I can wine test me and I can tell the difference between, you could put a $250 bottle of wine in front of me and a $10 bottle of wine in front of me, and I'm going to be wrong half the time on which is 2 and which is 10. So that's how much I know about wine.
There you go. And how much you know about peanut butter. So, you got to know your strengths. When you did come to visit me at the table on day 1 of the main event, we almost got in a scrap because I was in a hand here, and all of a sudden I just feel these hands on my jacket from behind me. You made some comment about the cut of my jacket. I was like, who the heck? What the? But it was your smiling face. And not only did you leave me with a fond memory and a photograph, but you left a couple of these starbursts behind with 2 of the other players at the table. One of them was actually last week's guest, Rob Gardner, who I think did pretty well on the starburst front. He made it a few days. And the other player was this wonderful player to my right, who I know lasted out the first day. I don't remember how they finished up. But tell us a little bit about how that got started. What does the starburst signify and why a starburst?
It happened by accident. So when I started playing, I don't really play a lot of tournaments. I play at the World Series of Poker. I play 3 or 4 tournaments a year. The rest of the year, I might play 1 tournament because I play cash. And I never, I don't want to bother people because it's a tournament against the World Series of Poker. And obviously it's higher buy-in than your regular tournaments, even though I'm playing mostly $1,500 buy-in tournaments. I'm not playing the higher ones, but $1,500 is more expensive than what you're playing around the country.
Oh yeah, me too.
So when I sat down, I always take the temperature of a table. Like I want to make it enjoyable. I want to have fun, but I don't want to bother people if they don't want me just, not, I don't want to be nonstop talking. So I noticed early on that, these tables were all more, more funereal than festive. Like people are just not in a great mood. They're all quiet. You can actually just hear chips being riffled all around the room. You can't hear a lot of talk. And my argument is, my God, we're playing poker. This is supposed to be fun. So what I found out by accident is that once I forget what it was, and it might have been a Starburst, it might have been a Lifesaver, it might have been M&Ms. I had stuff in my pocket. I offered somebody, let's say you want a Lifesaver or Starburst. As soon as I offered people a Lifesaver or Starburst, they just kind of pepped up. So I realized just by offering candy, all of a sudden we're a community. So that I've learned when I'm at strange tables, and that's why I always keep something in my pockets to get us going. And I'm not sure how that morphed. I might have been making a joke that, take the Starburst, it'll be lucky for you. And then at some point I decided, and someone came back to me, at some point and said, my goodness, after you gave me the Starburst, I ended up in that event. But I'm like, oh, it's a lucky Starburst. So I decided to incorporate that once we went to the live streams, because we didn't have the live streams before. We just did the post-produced taped episodes. So this doesn't work in that environment. So if we're going to be on a live stream every day for 5 or 10 hours, and you need stuff to talk about, I might as well give people lucky Starbursts and see who goes how far. And I can, I can mention them, I can build their story, who they are. They're a teacher, they're a cop, whatever. So it was a great way to get more people into the telecast, build more stories. And then our record's been incredible. I mean, I give them, it's based on day one, sometimes at the beginning of day two. And people who ask for them at day two are always low stacked. So they're looking for luck. So as you know, at the World Series of Poker main event, 15% of people who enter cash. And since I started the Starburst thing 4 or 5 years ago, we're cashing at about a 21% rate.
Oh, wow.
Starbursts to people ask for them or people I decide to give one to. So 21% is better than 15% last time I looked.
Yeah, you're beating the field by 50% there or something like that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, this is what I hate about poker players. When I give a Starburst to somebody who doesn't cash, they blame they're cashing at a 21% rate. You're cashing at a 15% rate at best. You don't cash it. Don't take a Starburst from him. I didn't cash. Or don't take a yellow one. They're bad luck. These people.
Well, poker players are always looking for someone to blame, aren't they? That's, we never want to blame ourselves. We always get it in good or get drawn out on.
What they don't realize, even though they didn't cash, they went a lot farther than they would have if they didn't have the Starburst.
That's possible.
Good point.
So
I'm just saying,
I'm trying to put a negative spin on a positive. What's been a positive thing?
Yeah, that's great. Well, it's taken off. Like you're such a wonderful influence on the players and the people that are thinking about getting involved in the game. So whatever you're doing, man, it's working. It's working for sure. Before we let you go, tell me one thing that the poker world should be doing better. What's one thing, in your opinion, that the poker world needs to be doing better?
Okay, and I could give you 5 things, but
I'm here all night, baby. Come on.
The one main thing I always tell people, and this is how I broadcast. It's just a game. Let's have fun. That for those of us who are there a lot of the time, we need to be better and nicer to those of us who are coming for the first time or the second time or the third time. We tend that the pros over the years and who don't look at the big picture tend to treat rec players, amateurs, dismissively. And I've seen that the younger ones in particular, I've seen them talking about hands that just happened. And like one of the people in the hand is sitting right there and they're talking about what I was doing. And this is what this is done. That was a really big mistake by him. It's like we're not there. So we need to be more, we just need to have a more humane approach to everybody who's in the card room. We're all tied together. If the bad players aren't there, the good players don't make money. So if they scare away all the people who are just trying to learn the game or trying to enjoy themselves, well, you have no card room. So that's my first thing. Just be nicer to your neighbor. Talk to them. I've lived in Los Angeles nearly 30 years now. Los Angeles is a tough place to meet people. I have met the most fascinating group of people at these mixed games over the 30 years. They've become good friends of mine. And these are people and highly successful usually, but all walks of life. So we weren't talking to each other, I wouldn't find out, oh, you wrote songs for Elvis Presley. Oh, you were the police chief of Culver City's police department. Literally, I've met these people. And so just talk to them and they might become one of your closest friends. So that's the main thing I have. My other problems have to do with, and I'll just be brief on them again, is in the tournament field, which is why I don't like playing tournaments. The unlimited reentry is just the worst thing in history. I probably wouldn't even allow reentry. We've just changed the whole game. So again, it's really bad for rec players and amateur players. And as I like to say, I'll use Daniel Negreanu as an example. If I'm doing a last longer with Daniel Negreanu in any tournament, no matter what it is, he's going to, if we play 100 tournaments together, he's going to last longer than me, minimum 80 or 85 times. Okay. With luck involved and all that. If we then do it where he can have 3 or 4 tickets in a tournament, 3 or 4 rebuys, and I'm still buying one, he's going to last longer than me, like 97 out of 100 times. It's just insane. So the unlimited reentry, I hate. I wish we could get rid of that. And as well as late reg, where you're coming in when 25% of the field is gone already. And then the old problem that we can't solve is why is every event have 5% women in it? It should be higher. It's just that simple. I don't understand, since there's no barrier to playing, why we can't have more women in the game. I don't understand why the industry, whether it's a card room in particular, a series, doesn't market to whatever, because why would you shut out? Let's say China all of a sudden, which you can't have legalized rooms and everything. Let's say the China market opens. Are card rooms going to ignore? Is poker going to ignore? Would you ignore 1 billion people? You would go after them, would you not? Well, last time I looked, and I talk about this once in a while, approximately half of the world's population is female. I can't give you the exact numbers, but I run into women every day of the week. Why would you not market? I mean, the game is pretty good shape right now. Why would you completely ignore 1/2 of your potential market because women don't want to play? So it's just insane to me that we're still at the point where we can't get 20 or 25% of the total field or the total players being women. So that just bothers the heck out of me, and I just don't understand what the answer is to that. But surely we can get more than 5% participation from the women of this world.
Well, those are great answers. I was really worried you were going to say there's too many poker podcasts where the host is also the producer and they can't get any of the audio cue stuff sorted out.
No, I wouldn't say that, Jim, but there are too many poker podcasts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And most of them, like, you just got into it, by the way, to your credit. I turn on a podcast once in a while looking for information. I'll see if they're going to have somebody as a guest. They're going to talk about this. And the first 5 minutes, if there's 2 of them, it's like inside baseball. Hey, what'd you do? Oh, you raked your lawn? Oh, that's pretty good. It's the season. You're going to rake. And then there was something, Peebo told me that JR saw you the other day. That was very funny. They have no respect for your time. So it goes on for an hour and a half. Just, I'm old school. Give me what you got in 30 or 45 minutes, but just don't be yanking somebody's chain for the first few minutes. So people, they have no background. Like I tell the poker players, they keep walking into the booth and they start talking, well, you just put a mic in front of them and start analyzing hands. Well, if that's all it's to broadcasting, then I don't know what to tell you. But if you walk into how do they become good at poker? They became good at poker by studying the game, maybe reading training manuals, talking to other poker players, going over stuff again and again. So what makes them think they could go into another industry? And it's a pretty easy industry. I'm not talking about like having a law degree or a medical degree, but what makes you think you just sit down and you start talking and then you're doing a good job at that? I mean, you're the fish in the broadcast booth. You have no idea what you're doing. So I tell them that all the time because they tell me that they tell me they're better than me. I go, if you're better than me. But no, really, I should not even wake up in the morning. I should sleep in till about 2:30 and then watch Dr. Oz or Dr. Phil or whatever one of those pretenders telling you to take 2 pills and call me in the morning. Yeah, too many poker podcasts from people who've never spoken before.
Okay, I can't let you go without following up with just one quick question then. So folks like myself that want to improve on the podcast game, what are some things that we can do to pick up some of that savvy? Should we just call you at home and sort of get your perspective on things, or what do you recommend?
Well, no, you first of all, you did not you were judicious with your viewers' time. You didn't, beat around the bush for 10 or 15 minutes before you started the thing. At the beginning, just like at the beginning, if you watch the nightly news, the old network nightly news, they might tell you just before they start, today, Ukraine fights back against Russia. Roe versus Wade causes a problem in Arkansas, and blah, 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 blah. They tell you the 3 or 4 things you're going to be listening. That hooks somebody in to, okay, I do want to hear about Roe versus Wade, or I do want to hear about, the bear hunting thing and whatever it is. So to tell us at the top what's coming up is very helpful. And then just, again, don't waste our time. Just, that's just for starters. Don't waste our time. Just jump into it, just be shot out of a cannon. And you're doing much better with a listener or viewer. That's all.
Cheers. All right. Well, we have one more question in the YouTube chat here from Eric Anderson, who's a big fan. What can a recreational player do to get better at mixed games? And then we're going to wrap this baby up.
Well, okay. You come to my game at Hollywood Park.
Yeah, that's a good smart. Bring money.
Bring a big roll. And after $10,000 or $15,000 of losses, you will stabilize. No, okay. So the way to get better at mixed games, just like anything else, is simply to play them, and then talk to. And like I've introduced somebody else to my online mixed game who only played 3 or 4 of the games, and I just described him what the other games were. Just basics. And you'll see, I've seen like Negrano has done really good videos, like on the 5 games in horse or something, where he just gives you the basics. And you just, it's trial. You learn by trial and error by playing. So the idea is to get into a game that's either, very cheap, very inexpensive game that you can do online, or at a home game where they're playing games, and you just pick up stuff. Of course, there's reading material out there. That reading material didn't exist a generation ago. You can go online right now and find. You could find a tutorial on dramaturgy. Somebody telling you,
right?
Okay, so just find other people. And in fact, if you find other people who want to play mix, I've told this to no limit hold'em players again and again. Once you come over to mix, you often don't go back. It's just, you don't want to go back. It's just so much more enjoyable because the no limit hold'em's essentially been solved. So now if you're playing against the best player in the world, that whole GTO business and stuff, it's hard to beat them. It's the other mixed games have not been solved by the solvers yet. Plus, most of the people playing them are like me. Now, I'm a decent player at it, but I'm not studying the game. I'm going to make a million mistakes per session. So just come on over to the other people who are just trying to have a good time and learn the games, and you will love it. You will not want to go back to just playing 2-card poker for the rest of your life.
I believe it. Well, Norman, you've earned the opportunity to go crack open one of those bottles behind you and relax for the rest of the evening. I can't thank you enough, not only for your wonderful activities over the summer and all that you do for the poker world, but to come on here and share this time with us is a gift, and I really do appreciate it. And I'll be mean to you later on Twitter, so this all balances out. But just while we're here, I think you're a real sweet guy, and I'm glad we got a chance to meet and make this connection. Thank you.
Just to be honest with you, I appreciate your kind words. I lost a bet, which is why I had to come on today. I would not have come on otherwise, and it's the cheapest way to pay off the bet.
Smart.
And, yeah. So, so I don't want you to think I'm some type of sweet guy. So let me go to this guy's podcast, who I met once wearing a white coat and a mask, and who was gone an hour later from the tournament.
Well, at least you didn't have to wear that penguin suit. So there you go.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you again, Norman. Have a great night, a great week. And I just hope that our paths cross again, and that it's not at a mixed game table where you can take all my money away from me.
All right. It was a pleasure. See y'all later.
All right. Thanks. Well, Bye-bye. There you have it, folks. The one and only Norman Chad. We got him. And yeah, I will reinforce to folks, he really didn't want to come on the show, so we did have to get that bet in there. He's not someone you could just ring up and say, "Hey, come on my podcast." But he is such a sweetheart. I do think he's getting soft. I think he's softening up in his old age, because you can tell he's getting a little softer around the edges there, smiling more. I don't think he's the grumpy old man that he lets himself on to be. But that was some fun. I know we had a chance to get most of the questions in from the chat there. Yeah, Ben Enslow, I see you just missed it, man. Sorry about that. Bad timing. But you'll be able to listen to it. This audio version will come out on Friday, and of course, the video will go live immediately. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think so far there was a poll on Twitter earlier about what was going to go wrong on the show tonight because I'm not this is my first time trying to actually manage the stream as well as hosting. The stream did start on time and it hasn't just ended abruptly. So those ones are out the window. I don't see any smoke coming out of the PC. And there were a couple audio issues maybe early, so I'm going to go with audio issues, which was choice A in the poll. So here, before we move on to the home game results and everything else going on in Rec Poker Land, why don't we do our roll here for who's going to win the prize this week? So you folks know, every week I just like to reinforce to folks that food insecurity is an issue that's facing a lot of people in North America, maybe even people that you might not expect. And if you want to make a difference in the world, a great way to see a big ROI on your time or your donation is to do what you can with what you have, where you are. And that often means that just making a donation or donating some time to a local community food bank is a great way to make a big difference and to help people that are in your own community. So a few folks have typed the words food bank into the chat here, and we're going to roll a die to see who the winner is. The first one in there was Evil Roy Slade, so we'll start there. Oh, and I'm going to need a bigger die. Oh my! All right, we got a few extra people in the chat for the Norman chat effect. And let's see who the winner is this week. One, two. Oh, it's a double around. It is Evil Roy Slade. We hit you twice there. Dave, congratulations. You are already a Rec Poker Premium member, so I'm not going to give you a free month of Rec Poker to try it out. But we're going to take that $15 and we're going to apply that towards the coaching time of your choosing. So anyone, as we do these draws, if you're not a premium member, you'll win a free month at Rec Poker Premium. And if you are a premium member already, we'll take that $15 and apply it as a coaching credit. We've got lots of core Wrecking Crew members on the core team who offer coaching by the hour or database reviews or solver work. There's lots of other ways to work with Wrecking Crew members, and $15 is a significant portion of that hourly rate. So you'll be happy to hear that you're getting a great deal on that. Email me, my friend, jim@rec.poker, and we'll make sure that you are all set up to take that next step. So we'll go into the home game winners. We don't have John Somsky with us tonight, so I'm going to do my best to wing through it. I think at the top, we shouted out premium member Michael Babker. Michael Babker has been a premium member for a long time. We've been counting on his support for what feels like years and years. And I'm happy to say that he is the first person on the winners list here. So on August 22nd, Michael Babker, won the daily tournament, which I think is their 10th. I don't know how John has this stuff figured out. They're 22nd of all time. That looks about right. On the 23rd, it was David Westerveld, our own Evil Roy CA. So the winners keep winning. The rich get richer around here. Dave, congratulations. Not only do you get that coaching discount, but you also have another win under your belt. On the next day, August 24th, Michael Babker is back. I can't believe it. So I chose the right episode to shout him out at the top of the show. Congratulations, Michael. That's 2 in a week. Congratulations. That's fantastic. On the 25th, Rick the Good Dog. And Rick has not made his name public in the Rec Poker profile fields. So even though a lot of people know who Rick is, I'm not going to dox him by putting his name out there. But if you're at all familiar with Minnesota poker, I think you know Rick the Good Dog. He's a constant presence in the winner's circle at Canterbury and running aces. A way to go, Rick. On August 26th, JT Guns 22, or Jay, won their second tournament. Congratulations. On the 27th, Isenma, and note the ease with which their name just rolls off the tongue, not like the good old days. Again, Isenma, I'm going to dox you. Your name is Spike. I know that much for real. But you also have not made your Rec Poker profile name visible. So feel free to go in and update that if you want us to be able to shout you out. And this must be the week of repeat winners on the 27th in the mixed event. David Westerveld again, Evil Roy CA winning their second mixed event of all time, but I believe that's their 32nd overall tournament win in the 2 or 2.5 years that we've been doing this together. Dave, congratulations, man. That's really impressive. And then in our international series, Rick the Good Dog is back for the Saturday morning tournament, picking up a win there. And then in the Saturday afternoon tournament, Elvita 11, Joe Koulis, who's a great guy and an active participant in a lot of our study groups and strategy conversations. So no surprise, he's showing up again in the winner's circle. Way to go, Joe. And then the LPP, oh my God. So every Sunday, we have a Learn Pro Poker tournament. So it's the same tournament. It's the same Sunday night tournament as all our other daily events. But whoever wins on Sunday, you get a whole free month at the Learn Pro Poker training site that Ryan LaPlante and KL Cleaton and all those guys and gals have put together over there. It's a fantastic site. They do a fantastic work, and they're great friends of the show. And the winner this week was Michael Babker. So, Michael, I swear to God, I had not read all these winners at the time that I picked you to shout out at the top of the show, but I must have just had a feeling because that's 3 victories in the week. So Michael won basically a third of the tournaments that are going on at Rec Poker this week. That is really impressive. So way to go to Michael Babker. Send me an email, my man, jim@rec.poker. And we'll make sure that you get your free month at Learn Pro Poker. You're going to enjoy that. No doubt about it. Rob, what's happening in the book study? We're really enjoying Endgame Poker Theory, the ICM book by Dario Carney and Barry Carter. What are we working on these days?
We're going through hand histories, basically, or going through situations. Right, we got halfway through the short stacks situation. So what to do when you're a short stack. Then we'll do the big stack, and then we'll do the medium stack. So next, probably 2-3 more sessions will be through the book. And then I'm going to be looking at putting a poll out there real soon to see what we can generate some interest in the next book. See who wants to do what.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we let the people talk, and then we listen. The people talk, and we listen. So Rob's going to be looking to some of our members to add some input and help us select what will be the next book study. So you look for that on Twitter and on the website soon. We'll be doing a poll, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And it's not too late to get involved in this series. We record all the sessions, and they're available in the video archive for premium members. And we're going to have a little Q&A at the end of it. I'm not sure if it'll be Barry or Dara who comes to talk about the book, but they're both great sports and have a lot of fun talking to recreational players about this stuff. So it's not too late to catch up on the old episodes and get up to date, and then join us for the last couple and the Q&A. I think that would be a lot of fun. I want to just shout out, it is the end of August right now. Next Monday night is going to be Labor Day. So loyal viewers and listeners, we will not be doing a recording of the show on Monday night. We actually pre-recorded our interview with the one and only Rob Washam. That's right. It's our own man, Rob. So we recorded that a little earlier. That episode will be coming out next week, but we won't be recording the show. So enjoy your long weekend, everybody, and we'll catch up with you on the other side. The only other thing I would say is that we're constantly looking at new ways to get involved with the poker community here at Rec Poker. One of the things that we're going to be doing later this year is doing more written work, blog posts and articles on the Rec Poker blog. And this feels to me like a great way for some of our listeners to get more involved. So if you've ever thought, oh, I could write a blog article, or I'd be interested in editing or contributing or somehow getting involved in the written word. It's not just for premium members or Wrecking Crew members. I'd like to hear from all sorts of different kind of poker fans and poker players with different perspectives on poker. We've got a lot of brainstorming to do still about what might come out in some of these articles or blog posts. So like I say to everybody, there's room for you. If you love poker, there is room in the poker world for you to share that love with the rest of the world. If there wasn't, I wouldn't be here. Lord knows I'm not qualified to be here. So if just like Norman Chad, fighting his way in, like Kevin Mathers, just doing what he does until someone starts picking it up and paying him to do it, there's room for you out there as well. So if you'd like to get more involved with Rec Poker as a writer, or if you have some other skills that you'd like to share with the poker world, send me an email, jim@rec.poker, and let's take the world on together. You never know what you could do that might make a little room for you in the poker world. But I guarantee you there is space here for you. Is there anything else, gang, that we should mention before we roll on out of here? I will say another thing. We've made some changes to the website over the last little while, and we're going to continue tweaking it a bit. If you're a premium member and you're listening to this, any premium member at any time, I'm happy to just take 15 minutes over Zoom, and we can just talk about the website. I can show you how to find things that you want to find. We can just talk about poker. We can go over a hand that's been troubling you or something like that. So if you're a premium member, just send me an email, jim@rec.poker. I'll send you a link and we can get together for 15 minutes and talk about whatever's on your mind and hopefully unlock some of those website secrets that people can get the most out of that as well. So I think failing that, we are just going to roll on out of here. Huge thanks for what a great sport Norman Chad is. I told him last week, we're not going to have a producer. It's probably going to go really badly. But he was such a good sport. But he came along anyway, and we had a lot of fun. And I really do want to thank him for that. Rob, did you have something there you wanted to add?
Nope.
Well, then I'll just thank Mark Prashant at Website Amp and everyone over at Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. Rob and Kim for joining me in the chat here, and everyone on YouTube for popping your heads in and adding some questions, but mostly you, the listeners. All right, everybody, thanks so much, and we'll see you again soon.